So we have this November 9th panel I've just made. And first, let's talk about Meta for a second, okay? Only because it's a big mover in the markets. It's part of the FANG complex, or we may need to rename that something else. But the fact that they had just in the past day or so here talked about layoffs, making big changes, from a shareholder point of view, that should help feed into profitability, right? So you can see right now there's a gap higher that came in today. And I think that was a positive response to, hey, we're going to cut expenses so we can produce more profit. Let's look at this within the context of the recent gap down. So I'm not going to go all deep on this. I just want for anybody who trades Facebook, kind of like a little update based on this big news, okay? So our most recent down move is off of this April high. It broke up into many pieces, or GAN drives lower. And most recently, we are in a move down off this high. So I would make that little orange color for GAN drives, okay? And we're retracing some of that move. Now, there is very important levels in this gap here. And I would recommend that you monitor these three if you're trading Meta, okay? We already tested 102.50, 115.52, and 128.53. We still think we're within the context of a downtrend, but there are areas here that we could recover to and that could provide short-term opportunities to sell, okay? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to then now go to the SPY, which I was going to give a State of the Union on anyway. So now we'll come back to that. And I'm going to stick to this blank chart. When you see me do those skinny dip videos, how many of you guys watched my videos that I sent out? Skinny dip, chart of the week, the little helpful HEMA ones, type a Y in the chat. Okay, those go out a few times a week, varying lengths, varying topics. And the one that's called skinny dip, I know it's a little play on words, is the one that usually is about the broad market, okay? So what I had been talking about was coming into the election, that there had been this dance between 50% retracements that if you go back and watch that skinny dip video after our call here, you'll see it's pretty awesome. And right now we are resuming lower, but still within the context of 50% retracement of this rebound. Now notice, I don't think we came exactly to 50%. I think we went higher a bit, okay? Here we traded and retraced about 75%. So the numbers I used, I saw a question here, I believe it was William asking, GAN or Fibonacci. Well, I'm a GAN girl. If I ever had a t-shirt made to describe me as a trader in 2 words, it would probably say GAN girl, okay? And I use GAN relationships, predominantly eighths retracements, because it's taking any range and just you keep cutting in half until you get to 8 equal pieces. So that's what you see me do when I manipulate existing Fibonacci retracements. So on TradeStation, there's not a GAN retracement tool. I'm taking the Fibonacci price retracement tool and amending the levels to what I want to use. And this is where it's really interesting to me. So we retraced 75% of this down move. So if we break below the November 3rd low soon, then I think we're headed back towards 75%. Again, over the next several days, weeks. Now, this is fueled by fundamental information. We are in the middle of midterm elections in the US. How many of you have been following the elections? Type a Y in the chat. Maybe you voted, did your civic duty. Maybe you just kind of turned on the TV and wanted to see, if we're going to get a red wave or not. And then the red wave did not become a red wave. Democrats held more seats than they were expecting. So now I believe, as of this moment, we are still waiting to see who's going to control Congress. And this is a big deal for the markets because one of my favorite kind of financial news commentators from her early days to now even is Maria Bartiromo. I like her style. She's very like New York, and I'm very New York, so I like that, okay? What she said was this, and it's true. Generally, at the times of these midterm elections in the US, the market, the stock market kind of likes when government is divided. It's not very productive, okay? It doesn't really get a lot of legislation passed and a lot of, things happening judiciary-wise and all that. But it also means that dramatic changes are unlikely, right? Big tax increases or tax cuts, big social policy changes, et cetera. So I think right now the market's reacting to the fact that there wasn't a big, huge wave of wins by the Republican Party, such that it's possible that Democrats, for the remaining 2 years while Biden is in office, might be able to get more of their agenda done, which might lead to dramatic things that the market doesn't like a lot of change, okay? It's like a kid doesn't want a lot of change, it just wants status quo. This is my opinion blended with the reporters, but please type a Y if you guys are following. The market's kind of quiet now because it's likely waiting for the results of the election, the full results, which last I checked, the Georgia races, the Herschel Walker Senate one was so close that it's probably headed towards a runoff in December. So we may not know till December, which is, a few weeks away, for the true balance of power in the Senate. Okay, so this is in a very important time, and this only comes around, every 2 years for election time and then midterm time. But this midterm election, I think, is even more important because, yes, as Mark was pointing out, there is also very inflationary environment that we're in, and we have more CPI data tomorrow. So I think the wait and see is still going to hang in there, but right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get back and retest the November 3rd lows. If we break those, the next main target is here, okay? So that's my take on the SPY. So those of you who asked about the SPY, if that doesn't answer your specific question, you can come back and ask it. Otherwise, because I wanted to highlight it anyway, I'm going to move on from the SPY to some of the other specific questions. Okay, so that's my state of the markets, real brief. I know there's a lot going on in crypto with like SBF and, what is it? FTX is this company. Binance was going to buy them out, but then like an hour ago, Binance says, we're not going to buy you out. It's very high drama. So if you have questions about specific cryptocurrencies relating to all that crypto news, let me know. We can look at that here. I'm just not going to like proactively do it. Okay. So there's a question here. Mark says, does the 4 zones RSI help with the analysis? Yes, it does, Mark. So right now on the RSI power zones versus the SPY, we're rolling over. So this is a good pop quiz moment. Everyone here who has some knowledge of 4 zones RSI, I just put a little highlight. Okay, I'm going to make my highlights yellow. What power zone is the SPY currently moving down from on the daily chart? Put your answer in the chat, please. Excuse my coughing. I'm gonna get some water while you answer that. Yeah, John's got it. Danny's got it. William. Theodore, Skip. Yep, we're rolling down from the bear resistance power zone. And notice that every time we came back to the bear resistance power zone since, okay. Here, right? Bear resistance fell. Bear resistance fell. Here, we climbed higher into bear resistance, but fell. And now we are attempting to fall again. So that's kind of supporting what's going on with the price. So that was a good follow-up question, whoever asked that, Mark, about the RSI power zones. Now, guys have to realize that I've been doing this for 22 plus years and using some of these tools just as long as that. So when I look at the chart, I am looking at everything there, but I may not necessarily comment on every single thing I see, okay? It's like, I don't know, Da Vinci looking at a painting you made or something. I mean, he's going to see more stuff, right? So I just want you to realize that if I don't say it, it doesn't mean it's not there, and I welcome your follow-up questions. It always helps if you ask it right away, or if I move away from a chart, just be like, hey, Hema, on that SPY ticker, I had a follow-up question, and ask your question. Cool? All right. So let's move along from here and start answering your questions with the remaining time we have. So I'm going to go in order of requests that came in. So